Welcome to the Explainer. Look, if you're running a multi-product e-commerce store, you absolutely need to hear this. Trying to steer your entire business using single product margins is, well, it's a total recipe for disaster. You might know your bestsellers margin like the back of your hand, but what about the big picture? Today, we're unpacking the weighted average contribution margin, or WACM, and we're going to show you exactly how it connects product-level data to real needle-moving business decisions. Here is our roadmap for today. 1. What is WACM? 2. The WACM Formula. 3. How to actually calculate it. 4. A practical example. 5. WACM e-commerce strategy. And 6. WACM versus other metrics.
All right, let's jump right into section 1. What exactly is WACM? Okay, let's dive into this. Weighted average contribution margin, or WACM, is the average contribution margin per unit across all of your products, but it's adjusted for how much each product actually contributes to your total sales volume. Essentially, think of it as the multi-product version of a standard contribution margin. If you sell more than one SKU, standard metrics just kind of fall short. WACM is the magic key that gives you one single actionable number to truly understand your entire catalog's performance. It's really wild when you contrast these two concepts directly. Standard contribution margin looks at just one product in a complete vacuum. It totally ignores how much of each product you're actually selling. It'll treat a slow-moving premium item exactly the same as your massive high-volume bestseller. WACM fixes this. It weights each product's margin according to its actual share of your total sales volume, which gives you a beautifully blended, honest picture of your profitability. Moving on to section 2, the WACM formula. Now, please don't let the mouth intimidate you, because this formula is the engine that makes portfolio-level break-even analysis possible. It's actually super simple. To find your WACM, you just take product A's unit contribution margin and multiply it by its sales mix percentage. Then you do the exact same thing for product B and product C and however many products you have, and just add them all up. You're literally just taking what each unit makes and blending it with its share of your total volume. But here is the catch, and it's absolutely crucial. You have to get your cost classifications right. To get accurate unit margins for this, you must only use variable costs. We're talking about cost of goods sold, your shipping and fulfillment fees, your payment processing fees, the ones that usually sit around 2 to 3.5%, and your per sale ad spend. You must completely ignore fixed costs like rent, salaries, or your monthly software subscriptions. If you mix up fixed and variable costs here, your entire WACM calculation is going to be totally useless. Which brings us nicely to section 3, how to calculate WACM. This brilliantly illustrates how we take that theory and put it into practice. Calculating it really comes down to a clear linear progression in 3 steps. Step 1, calculate the unit contribution margin. So subtract the variable cost from the selling price to find out what revenue is actually left over from each sale. Step 2, determine the sales mix percentage. Figure out that specific product's share of your entire sales volume. And step 3, just apply that weighted average formula we just talked about to blend it all together. But concepts are great, let's make this concrete. Let's look at section 4, a practical example. We're going to apply those exact 3 steps to a hypothetical, real-world e-commerce store. Imagine we have 3 products, a water bottle, a backpack, and a phone case. Now the backpack has a really nice selling price of $120 and a solid 55% unit margin. But look at the sales mix. That $50 water bottle, which has a 60% margin, is actually driving half of the total sales volume. It's 50%. So it's actually moving the needle way more for the store's overall profitability than the expensive backpack or the cheaper phone case.
Let's just narrate the math as it plays out. We literally plug those percentages right into our formula. We take the water bottle's 60% margin times its 50% sales mix, so 0.60 times 0.50. Then we add the backpack's 0.55 times 0.30 and the phone case's 0.40 times 0.20. That gives us 0.30 plus 0.165 plus 0.08. Add those together and boom, you get 54.5%. That is your weighted average contribution margin. To put that into perspective, what this actually means is that for every single dollar of revenue this entire store generates, 54.5 cents are going directly toward covering fixed costs and generating pure profit.
So how do we use this? Section 5, WACM e-commerce strategy. Okay, so your WAC is 54.5%. What now? Well, it shouldn't just be a historical report card sitting on a spreadsheet. It should dictate your next business moves. You use it to evaluate sales mix shifts, like if you launch a new product line, how does it drag up or pull down the whole catalog? Use it to decide exactly which products to push for your ad spend to maximize your blended profitability, not just your vanity top-line revenue. It also sets a hard baseline for your pricing and those massive Black Friday discounts, so you don't accidentally discount yourself into unprofitability. And finally, it highlights those low-margin, low-volume duds that are just dragging your catalog down so you can discontinue them. There's this fantastic insight from Harry Chu, the founder of TrueProfit, that hits the nail on the head. He says, if your WACM is trending down, something in your mix has shifted, and the sooner you catch it, the less damage it does. Remember, sales mixes in e-commerce are almost never stable. Seasonality, a viral TikTok video, a Google algorithm update, these can completely flip what people are buying overnight. Keeping an eye on your WACM alerts you to these shifts before they quietly eat up your margins.
Let's wrap up with Section 6, WACM versus other metrics. We need to contextualize WACM within the broader financial picture of your business. A lot of sellers kind of get WACM and gross profit margin confused. The absolute key difference here is that gross margin often lumps in fixed manufacturing overhead through your cost of goods sold. WACM cleanly strips out all of those fixed costs, dealing strictly with variable selling costs. That makes WACM a much cleaner, far more precise tool when you need to make fast operational choices across a whole catalog of products. So, what should you actually be aiming for? For most e-commerce stores, a really healthy benchmark for WACM sits somewhere between 30 and 50%. If you're hitting above 50%, like our 54.5% in the example earlier, that's incredible. It indicates huge pricing power and very lean variable costs. Use this 30 to 50% range as your tangible goal to measure your own store's health against. Now, I have to be real with you, there are a few limitations. First, WACM kind of assumes your sales mix is stable, which, as we just talked about, it isn't, so you need to recalculate it regularly. Second, it requires impeccably clean cost classification. Tagging a fixed cost as variable will totally ruin your data. And finally, because it uses point-of-sale numbers, it ignores hidden costs. Things like 15 to 30% return rates, which are super common in apparel, are ignored, and those can absolutely wreck your real-world margin if you aren't paying attention. So let me leave you with this provocative question. Are your best-selling products actually driving profitability, or are they just driving volume? It is time to rethink your entire catalog. Stop looking at it as just a random collection of isolated items and start seeing it as an interconnected financial system. Go find your WACM, understand what's really driving your profits, and take control of your e-commerce strategy today. Thanks so much for joining us for this explainer, and we will catch you next time.